at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We got to unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters. Wednesday, March 11th. I'm Dean Obeidallah, as always, here to be your MBFF, virus or not. I'm probably needier during the virus. So if you're looking for an MBFF, I'm there for you. I'm on Twitter, Facebook.com/Dean of Radio. I encourage you, go check out the Facebook page. You can watch the monologue, or we have guests in studio. And I'd love to see your comments, or email me, dean@deanofradio.com. We've been talking coronavirus every night for almost a week. But we're going to talk politics because of last night's election. The only thing at the top here, I want to touch on the coronavirus. I think everyone knows this. The World Health Organization declared it a pandemic. What I really regret is that the word pan is in the beginning, which gives a panicky sound. It's just a term of art, the pandemic. It's a global influenza that is of a new strain. We had a pandemic in 2009. The H1N1, also known as swine flu. 12,000 Americans died. It's horrible, but we survived it. So it's not like pandemic is end of days scenario. It's just a term of art that they use where we got to this point. Also, one thing about Trump and this whole virus thing. Today, Kylie McEnany was on Fox News Business. She's the official Trump 2020 campaign spokesperson and asked about Trump wanting to have rallies. And she told us, you know who knows best about the rallies and if it's healthy or not? Donald Trump. Here you go. Clip number 7. We'll go all the way to 7.
But Dr. Fauci, who is also testifying on Capitol Hill, he just said there should be no large crowds. He said it.
Look, we have the commander-in-chief. We have the best health experts. We're taking this day by day. We're currently proceeding as normal. And look, Joe Biden, he's suspending his rallies. Well, he's been dying to get off the campaign trail. The man can only speak for 7 minutes. So no wonder he wants to suspend his rallies.
You will immediately be accused of chaos in the White House. The president goes ahead with holding his rallies. His top doctor, top medical guy says, don't go with big crowds. I mean, you're immediately going to be hit with this.
Look, the president is the best authority on this issue.
The president is the best authority on this. It's a suicide cult. It's not even a normal cult. This is a Jim Jones scenario, folks. Look, Donald Trump wants to have his rallies. He wants to risk his supporters and their families. That is his choice. This is America. This is their choice until an actual formal emergency might be declared and it's not healthy for others. Here's my only condition. If you want to go to a Trump rally, fine, but you have to have proof of health insurance. And you want to know why? Because when you get sick and go to the emergency room and you don't have insurance, I don't want to pay for you, okay? I'm going to be a Republican here for a second and only care about me. I'm not going to pay because you put yourself in harm's way by going to see your supreme leader. So if you don't have health insurance, you should not be allowed in. If you have health insurance, okay, but if not, and you go to the ER and you got your whole family sick, we should not have to pay for you. And I know it sounds like you're listening to Rush Limbaugh, but that's it. If you're going to put yourself in harm's way and you know you shouldn't be going, because Dr. Fauci, the expert on infectious disease, testified before Congress today, there should not be big events. Today, hours ago, they canceled the St. Patrick's Day Parade here in New York. That's an outdoor event, and they cancel it, not even indoor. March Madness, all the basketball games will be played without fans. The Golden State Warriors, the first NBA team to say no fans at their events, which makes it just like a Knick game, but you know what I'm saying. So look, you want to have a rally? You got proof of health insurance? Go ahead. If you don't, you should not be allowed in. I'm not even kidding. You should not be allowed in because we should not, as a society, collectively have to pay for them. They're getting sick. It's not like they got sick on their own. They put themselves in harm's way. They pay the price financially and physically for it. Not wishing them ill. I'm not hoping they get sick and die. I'm sincere. I just don't think any of us should pay for stupidity. So you want to go to a Trump rally because the supreme leader needs an emotional boost to feel better about his small hands and orange face and horrible hair? Go. Go do that. And if you go, though, I should add another condition. If you go and get people sick who didn't go, you should be criminally prosecuted. I should have added that last one there. Yeah, you should, because you know better. If anyone dies because they catch something from you because you went to a Trump rally and got sick, and someone dies, that's manslaughter because you knew what was going on. Manslaughter is defined by the law, folks, as unintentional killing on one level, but it's also, there's a substantial risk of bodily harm or death. In this case would be death, manslaughter. You still do something. So maybe it would be manslaughter. But at the very least, no insurance, you're not allowed to go. That should be it. By the way, Donald Trump tonight is giving a speech at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so if you have not been lied to enough lately in your life, turn it on and he'll lie to you. I'm wondering if at this speech tonight he'll tell us, like, the virus is going to end in April, which he said. February 26th, he said, we only have 15 cases, and that's what we had. He goes, soon it'll get down to 0. I wonder if he'll repeat that tonight. I wonder if he'll repeat that I don't believe my own doctors. On a hunch, I think the mortality rate is lower. I wonder if he'll call it a Democratic hoax tonight. These are all things he has said in the last 2 weeks. Why shouldn't he say it now in the national address? Because he's going to read words that someone gave him. This is a man with zero credibility. So for him to go there and give his little speech, fine. Here's the thing. If he cancels those rallies, folks, expect daily addresses like the North Korean leader, where every day you have Trump giving us an address because he wants to see if people like it or not and give it a thumbs up on Facebook. But it's unreal. I chatted with tonight Senator Tina Smith from Minnesota. We just did a pre-tape, and even U.S. senators cannot believe the misinformation coming from the president. And she, while a Democrat, is not this over-the-top firebrand type of person. It's actually more poignant, I think, when someone says it like that. But look, there is a poll that came out today. They asked Americans, do you approve of the way of Donald Trump is handling this? Only 39% of Americans approve of how Trump is handling the response to the coronavirus. Only 39%. I'm sure many are going, how is it that high? And that's a fair question. There's two tracks here. There's the health professionals doing the best they can. And I think people look at that and go, hey, they're doing the best they can. Then there's Donald Trump lying and giving misinformation. And the rest of us see that and go, we can't approve of what you're doing. There's no doubt the testing was delayed. We've covered it at length on this show. The Trump administration has not given an answer why the tests were delayed. We do not know why the Trump administration would not use the World Health Organization's kits. 60 countries used it, but Trump would not. Had the CDC develop their own. Didn't work out well. Has private companies in America doing it. With Trump, we have to find out. Did he not use the WHO test and have American companies manufacture it because they gave donations to Donald Trump or to GOP candidates? With other presidents, you may or may not have to ask that. With Donald Trump, you absolutely have to look at that. And maybe it's not. And that would be great if it's not. Because I'm really rooting for this administration, not Trump, this administration, to do the right thing. Trump will never do the right thing, folks. That's not going to happen. You can't, it's just not, he's not going to switch. He is who he is. Today, he had a big meeting in the White House to address this. Was he meeting with the top medical experts, the top doctors, infectious experts, maybe people from other countries who have dealt with this? No, he met with Wall Street executives, the head of Bank America today, Wells Fargo and others, because all he cares about is the stock market, because that's his big applause line. In fact, tonight he's addressing America. He didn't address it yesterday because the stock market went up yesterday. Today it dropped again 1,200 points. It's a drop 20% in 3 weeks. If this continues to falter, and it probably will for at least the near term, it hurts his reelection. That's all he cares about. So let's focus on who is the person that's going to defeat Donald Trump. And there's two candidates, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders. Last night, everybody knows that Joe Biden had a very good night. Bernie Sanders, unfortunately for him, did not have a very good night. As of now, we still don't have the results in Washington State, but Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, and Idaho, Joe Biden has won. Bernie Sanders won North Dakota. They're neck and neck in Washington. It appears It was a resounding victory in Missouri and surprisingly Michigan. And I say only surprisingly because in 2016, Bernie Sanders went in trailing in the polls. Big victory, surprising victory over Hillary Clinton. It gave his campaign life and thrust him forward for the next few months. The loss last night is just stunning in terms of numbers. In 2016, Bernie got 49.8% of the vote to 48.3% of Hillary. Last night, Bernie got 36% of the vote to Biden's 52%. Even more stunning, I think, is in 2016, Bernie got 595,000 votes. Last night, he got only 576,000. He went down 20,000 votes, even though he's better known. In Missouri, again, 2016, it was neck and neck with Hillary, 49%. Hillary beats 49.6 to 49.3%. Last night, Joe Biden beats Bernie 60% to 34.6%. And again, 2016, Bernie gets 309,000 votes. Last night, gets only 228,000 votes. We all know math. Doesn't matter what you think of Bernie or not. I like Bernie a great deal. I'm very progressive. But that's objectively bad signs. When you're getting less votes and it's meaningful than you got 4 years ago, very, very bad. The one great news, and this is great for everyone who wants to beat Trump, Michigan, another record turnout. In 2016, about 1.1 million voters came out, and that was a big turnout. That was a high-intensity election. Last night, nearly 1.6 million voters. LaVara Barnes, the chairwoman of the Michigan Democratic Party, said in the statement, last night, Michigan saw a turnout explosion, setting a record for votes cast in a Michigan Democratic primary, and increasing turnout by 28% from 2016. Folks, you get a sense of what's going on. Setting a record in New Hampshire, we've seen a spike in almost every state. Even Missouri, a spike in turnout. That's not even a state that's usually in play. People are coming out. And what does that matter? Well, in Michigan, in 2016, it was one of those key states. We know the three key states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Michigan, Donald Trump wins by 10,000 votes. First Republican to carry the state since 1988 for president. So it's a long time. What happened when people came out in 2018 in Michigan? Democrats flipped 2 House seats and they took the governorship, because it had been a Republican governorship, the Secretary of State and Attorney General. So these big turnouts are actually meaningful. It shows that we are more animated. We're animated AF, like we want to win this and we are coming out. We're coming out big. And that is the making of a blue tsunami. And the blue tsunami that we did in 2018 is building and building. And I got to be blunt with you. I don't think Republicans have any idea what is building. They don't get it. They simply don't, because they've never seen this. We've never been this animated before. 2008, the closest one with Obama, but that was a different scenario. I think they understood that more. People were inspired by Barack Obama, and they came out to vote. What's unique about this is that usually when Republicans like Trump give red meat to their base, it only animates their base, and the rest of us would roll our eyes and go like, well, look at those crazy people. Look what they're doing. What's different here is every time Trump gives red meat to his base, he's not just animating them. He is over-animating us. And it's because of Trump, because the typical Republican has given red meat forever to their base. But it was usually dog whistle. It was more subtle. Trump's over-the-top bullhorn of bigotry and attacks on our democracy and defending every Republican man who has abused women. We see this all the time. And his base might like some of that, but they've never seen it animate our side. And I think that's why they're surprised. You know, I interviewed New Hampshire State Democratic Chair Ray Buckley up in New Hampshire. And I said to him, what's your reaction? It was the night before the New Hampshire primary. And I said, what's your reaction to Donald Trump having a rally here the night before? He goes, I love it. And I go, why? He goes, it's going to increase our turnout. And I kind of laughed, and he goes, I'm not kidding. He was right. It was the highest turnout for a Democratic primary ever this time. Donald Trump has a rally in Wisconsin. More of us are going to come out and be angrier at that than his side. The people coming to his rallies are already on his side. You talk to Democrats in these areas where he has rallies, they are animated to send a message to this guy. And I got to tell you, the exit poll in Washington State had a remarkable finding. They asked people a bunch of questions, and this is one I love because this tells you the recipe for winning. They asked people, what is your feeling about Trump administration? And the possible answers were satisfied, dissatisfied, unhappy. 82% of Democrats in the exit poll, their response to what's their reaction to the Trump administration, their feelings, the word they gave, anger. Anger. 82% said angry. Anger wins elections. Negative partisanship wins elections more than inspirational partisanship. Studies have shown that. The new book by Ezra Klein about polarization makes a great point on that. I wrote about this years ago, not even understanding the concept of negative partisanship in midterm elections. And I went back through 4 or 5 midterm elections. It was like 2014 I wrote this. Look at 2012, 10, 8. And when there was a big wave election, the biggest emotional response of people, why they voted? Anger. You love someone, you might come out and vote. You hate them, you're going to be there. Just in real life, think about it. If you really like someone, you're going to help them out. But if you hate someone's guts, you're going to make sure they know any way you have a chance to do that. And this is how we're going to send that message. And the Republicans have never seen this because they usually are the masters of negative partisanship. There were so many of them that didn't even care about Trump. They wanted to vote against Hillary. That's what they're vote against Hillary. That was it. In 2012, it didn't work because while some didn't like Obama on their side, there was a small subset that really hated him. Others were just fine with him. Liked him, didn't like him. With Trump, I cannot recall a time. Can you recall a time when, as a Democrat, there was a president who you personally hated, like many of us do with Donald Trump, like hate, really hate? I can't think of an incumbent Republican. George W. Bush, terrible policies. Disliked him a lot. But as a human being, he seemed like a nice enough guy. And maybe I was naive, but seemed like a nice enough guy. He was kind of funny, and I was doing full-time comedy, so he was great for comedy. Disagreed with his policies, the war in Iraq, of course, so many. It was painful, but there was something about him that was likable. Trump, no, it's hate. It's hate. Trump, maybe if you're a Trumper, you get this. You know how you don't like Hillary Trumpers? Multiply that by 2 or 3. That's how we feel about Trump. And maybe then you'll understand what's happening and what's building, because the right doesn't get it. And you know when they're going to get it? On election night, when we take the Senate back and we win the White House. And you think they would have got it from 2018 when we won the House, not just 40 seats. We won with the biggest margin of victory in the history of midterm elections by 10 million votes. No one's done that. You would have thought they would have got that. You would have thought they would have got it in the fact that we flipped 9 governorships in the last 3 years since Trump's there, including ruby red states like Kansas, Kentucky. We won Wisconsin. That we've won over 400 state legislative seats. You would think they'd start to get it, but they don't. I'm glad they don't, because they don't know what's building. But these results show this. Now, it's looking more and more likely. Look, this is right now, it's the most boring part of the fight for the nomination. It comes down to something I was never good at school. If you listen to the show, you know it, math. I'm not great at math. But simple addition, I'm pretty good at. And we are now down to a fight for delegates. So it actually becomes a somewhat less exciting time. We're going to have a debate on Sunday. There will not be an audience there because of the coronavirus. We're going to have, right now, as of right before we went on air, these delegate numbers will change because they're not all apportioned out yet. But as of now, Joe Biden has 787 to Bernie's 647. Those numbers could have changed since I came on air, so you might see different numbers, but they're pretty close to that. Reminder, you need 1,991 delegates to secure the nomination. So no one is that close to it, but this gap is going to be harder and harder for Bernie Sanders to catch. According to 538, this gives you a little perspective of the outstanding delegates left to win out there. Biden needs to win 50.5% to lock up the nomination. Bernie has to win 56% of the outstanding delegates to lock up the nomination. What's problematic for Bernie is the next round of primaries this Tuesday coming up. Florida, he's trailing very badly. Arizona, he's trailing. You got Ohio and Illinois, other key states. It could make it closer. He could pull it a little tighter there. Then you got March 24th, Georgia, pretty good number of delegates. He's going to lose there. The math says it's really, really hard for Bernie. And, Biden, today Bernie had a press conference. I'll play a clip, but you know what? Let me play one clip of Biden and one clip of Bernie, and then we'll take calls. We're going to talk about the corona, and I'll take your calls on the coronavirus. Later in the show, we'll talk about it. My friend Rula Jabril is going to join us, who used to host a TV show in Italy. She's a professor at University of Miami, has a lot of close friends there, and is going to share what she's hearing firsthand from doctors and friends in Italy about what life is like under quarantine. I'm hoping we don't get to that, but we might. You have to be prepared for that. So here's Joe Biden last night. Here's about a little bit over a minute. Clip number 1, please, Nina.
In just the past week, so many of my incredibly capable competitors have endorsed me. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Mike Bloomberg, Cory Booker, and Kamala Harris. Together we're bringing this party together. That's what we have to do. Tonight, we are a step closer to restoring decency, dignity, and honor to the White House. That's our ultimate goal.
Yes.
And at this moment, when there's so much fear in the country, when there's so much fear across the world, we need American leadership. We need presidential leadership that's honest, trusted, truthful, and steady. Reassuring leadership. If I'm given the honor of becoming your president, I promise you I'll strive to give the nation that very leadership. Every day, I have a privilege to hold office. That's the reason why I'm running for president. I believe we're in an incredible moment in American history, a phenomenal opportunity to deliver a bold, progressive vision to the American people, guaranteeing that every American has health care, affordable health care, total health care, not a privilege but a right.
And then I want to play one clip of Bernie. Out of fairness, these are our 2 candidates right now to pick from. Tulsi Gabbard's not really in the running, so we won't play it. And here's Bernie today, clip number 2.
Our campaign continues to win the vast majority of the votes of younger people. And I am talking about people not just in their 20s, but in their 30s and their 40s. The younger generations of this country continue in very strong numbers to support our campaign. Today, I say to the Democratic establishment, in order to win in the future, you need to win the voters who represent the future of our country, and you must speak to the issues of concern to them. You cannot simply be satisfied by winning the votes of people who are older. While our campaign has won the ideological debate, we are losing the debate over electability. I cannot tell you how many people our campaign has spoken to who have said, and I quote, "I like what your campaign stands for. I agree with what your campaign stands for, but I'm going to vote for Joe Biden because I think Joe is the best candidate to defeat Donald Trump." End of quote. We have heard that statement all over this country.
So that's Bernie, and they're going to have a debate on Sunday night. We'll see how it plays out on CNN. But let's take a break. Come back. I want to hear from you. What's your reaction to the election last night? In your view, is it over? Can Bernie turn this around? Is this debate Sunday the most important debate in Bernie Sanders' political life? And do you hope Bernie goes after Biden, or do you hope he doesn't and just tells what his affirmative vision is? And what do you think caused this dam to break for Biden? I mean, the idea that he crushed Bernie, he won every county, Biden, but one in Michigan. In Missouri, he won every county. And last time, 4 years ago, him and Hillary were neck and neck in that state. So something has happened and has broken the dam forward. And when you look at exit polls, they ask people about who do you think could best handle a crisis, and Biden wins big over Bernie on that. And I wonder on some level, this coronavirus has played into Biden's strength. That's someone who's been through a lot, the Ebola epidemic, H1N1. So love to hear from you. 866-997-4748. You're my guest. You're my guest. When we come back, I'll take your calls after this.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
I think Trump clips that they play on the media should come with a health warning.